Weapons is the follow-up to Barbarian from director Zach Cregger. So today, let's see if this film is worth your time. When all but one child from the same classroom mysteriously vanishes on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance. Weapons was one of my most anticipated films for 2025. I absolutely loved Barbarian, really surprised me. So going into Weapons, I didn't want to know anything about it. I saw a few trailers here and there, not in its entirety, didn't know anything really about the plot because that's how I went into Barbarian, and I was completely blown away. And I loved Weapons. It's not as perfect as Barbarian, but still a really shocking movie. One of the biggest things that really got under my skin with this film is that I could easily relate to Julia Gardner's character. I am a teacher, and throughout all of the sequences with Julia Gardner being questioned and her classroom disappearing and everybody starting to believe that she was behind it all, I felt incredibly stressed out and thought about myself as a teacher in the same situation as her. And it just added a level of stress that I'm not sure a lot of people can easily relate to. But Zach Cregger once again is able to craft a very unique horror film that keeps you guessing throughout the entire film. I wanted to know why all the kids left at like 2 o'clock in the morning, randomly got out of bed and ran down the street. I wanted to know exactly why that happened. And we get our answers throughout the film. But its lead up to it is very unique. And it doesn't fully go in this linear storyline as you get many different perspectives from different characters about what is going on. That unfortunately has like this roadblock to it all, is that, you know, all these storylines with Josh Brolin and Benedict Wong are going to eventually lead to our answers. What is happening with this classroom? And they eventually are all connected, and they all serve a purpose to the end of the film. But sometimes throughout this movie, I forget where we are currently with our storyline. We're progressing one storyline, and then we have to go back for another character to kind of meet up to where that storyline is. Eventually, you have another character that has to match that storyline. And I found myself multiple times forgetting where we were previously because we are introducing more characters throughout the film and more storylines and their overall connection to the story. And I found those connections to be strong and worth telling, but too many characters at times, and that non-linear storyline, it loses some momentum in the middle part of the film. But all of their storylines, like I said, they serve this purpose, and it's very chilling. It reminded me a lot of the movie Prisoners. The overall direction from Zach Cregger has this somber feel to it. It's very murky, and it does involve kids like Prisoners, but that mystery is there, and the different storylines are all connected and eventually kind of start to progress a little further into our big reveal of what is actually happening. But that mystery is there. And it's very chilling, from investigating the teacher, Josh Brolin, missing his son and him doing his own investigation. The performances, the direction, it's all very raw. And it has this overall sinister, somber, emotional vibe to it, where all led from really great performances from Julia Gardner and Josh Brolin. Julia Gardner is going through a lot in her own personal life, and she is wanting to get to the bottom of this all by herself. And Josh Brolin really handles all of that emotion very well in this film, that he starts to question everything that is happening and wants to take matters into his own hand. But as a father myself, I saw all of that emotion within that character and what he would go through to find his son. And Zach Cregger has this nice momentum that builds throughout the film, slowly revealing certain things about the classroom and Julia Gardner's character and Josh Brolin, and then eventually giving us like our big reveal. He plays around with his pacing very well within this film. And as the film moved on, I became more and more stressed out, and the intensity was continuously rising. It's a pretty gory film. I expected that from watching Barbarian, and many times the theater was absolutely shocked with what was happening. Something that Barbarian did that I didn't really buy into, or I guess see it was the comedy aspect of it all. I thought I was absolutely terrified by watching Barbarian, and when there were moments of comedy that I wasn't laughing, like especially like the end of the film, many people in the theater were laughing at the end of Barbarian, and that was the similar vibe for Weapons. I think more of Zach Cregger's humor was intentional this time around, especially with some jokes from characters that are trying to lighten up the mood, but some moments, especially when some heightened action scenes or horror sequences or bloody sequences, comedy is thrown into the film, but never shifts the overall atmosphere of the movie. It's still a horror film. And yes, there is comedy elements to it, but it never takes away from what you're watching. And it's not a film where you're fully laughing now and you're like, oh, this is a comedy, I'm not terrified anymore. I didn't feel that way throughout this film. I laughed, but it never shifted my overall thoughts of the movie, of it being this truly sinister horror film. So the comedy was implemented well into the film, so it didn't really change much to the movie. I don't think Weapons has that one big shocking moment that Barbarian had for me. When I watched Barbarian, when they revealed what was going on underneath the house, I was completely blown away. Like, it turned from one movie to another, and it was crazy. Since we were already progressing for the story for Weapons, it didn't have that one big, oh my gosh, what is happening moment in this movie. I still thought all of the storylines were really intense and bloody, and I still wanted to know what was going to happen, so that mystery was still there, but it lacked that one big shocking moment for me to like, oh my gosh, I'm so surprised with what was happening, because we already got teases of what was happening throughout the film, little character drops here and there to eventually lead to the end of the movie. And there are many moments in here that either don't make sense, or you're going to question exactly what was happening. Zach Cregger doesn't give you all of the answers, leaves a lot of things open for interpretation. And after I left the theater, I was wondering about certain sequences throughout the movie and exactly what they meant and how it was connected to the film. But I like that about certain movies because it opens up discussion at the end of the film. Overall, Weapons was a really intense movie, bloody, creepy, overall chilling atmosphere that you could tell that Zach Cregger pulled from other films. I love his direction, and I'm really excited for a Resident Evil film from him next year. The mystery was there. I was guessing throughout. I think going into this film blind really helped me. I do that for a lot of horror films, so I can be really surprised and have a very unique experience. But I still prefer Barbarian to Weapons, but Weapons was still a really intense movie. I'm gonna go ahead and give Weapons a B+. Thank you guys for watching my review for Weapons, the newest Zach Cregger film. Have you guys seen it by chance? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for more up and coming content like this. My name is Justin Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.